Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Today, as promised, I am sharing with you my 2022 makeup favorites. So coming at you barefaced today to share with you my makeup routine and the products that I loved throughout the past year. I don't do many makeup videos, so I always end up taking a really long time filming and chatting through these. So I'm going to try and keep it concise this year and hopefully as informative and fun to watch as possible. So starting off with primer, I've been using and loving the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Face Primer. I got this primer in the summer and as you can see, it is very nearly finished. It's one of those like products that is just so raved about and people absolutely adore, and I was so excited to try it for myself. So finally giving it a try, and honestly, I was just as obsessed as everybody else seems to be. It's really good. I always just use my fingers to apply this. I find that's the easiest way for primers and things where I really want them to sink into the skin. So that's my skin primed and ready for makeup, and I don't know if I mentioned this at the start of the video, but I have already done my normal skincare, so cleansed in the morning, moisturizer, serums, and so on. Next up, foundation. This was actually a little bit tricky because I do alternate between foundations, but I had to include the NARS new launch. So this is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This was another 2022 launch and it quickly climbed up into my most favorite foundations. I love it. I use the shade L 4.5 Vienna. Shake well before use, and then I use just a couple of pumps. And one thing I've really been loving for an extra glowy complexion is to then add in some Vive Muse Skin Nova. This is their Instant Radiance Primer. So you can use this all over the face as a primer, or you can mix it into foundations, or you can just use it on like high points. But personally, what I like to do is mix it with my foundation on the back of my hand, then with my foundation brush, and then apply it that way. I just think this gives a really nice, like glowy, dewy look, which is exactly what I want with my base. Once I'm happy with my base, I move on to concealer, and my concealer of choice this year is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer. I use the shade 1N. I apply this mostly under my eyes just to lighten it up, so a little bit at the front and then a little bit on the sides as well, followed by chin and nose. And I blend in with my favourite brush. I need to give this brush a mention because it's honestly my most favorite, most used brush. It's the Real Techniques setting brush and it's just so good. Essentially just like dabbing everything to blend in. Followed by powder, and I finally have got my hands on a full-size Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. This is featured in my previous two makeup favorites videos, but I've always only ever had the mini pots, and I finally have a full size. This year I got myself a full size, which is very exciting for me, and it's still a favorite. So still exactly the same product I use. Put some onto my brush, tap off the excess, and then lightly pat in to keep everything and my concealer in place. So the areas that I typically conceal are of course under the eyes where I popped concealer, and then just my T-zone, so nose and then also chin. So next up, I'm going to prime my eyes. This is another non-changer, the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I think what I love the most about this is the fact that it's just so easy to use and so easy to apply, and it works really well as well. Typically, I would prime my eyes at the same time as I prime my face. Just as I said, sometimes when I'm filming a video, I see so many products in front of me that I kind of just grab the first thing that I see, kind of forgetting my typical order, but I don't really think it matters too much. When it comes to eyeshadow, honestly, I've not done much with eyeshadow. I don't really have a favorite palette or anything like that because I just haven't done eyeshadow looks at all, to be honest with you. They've really just like slipped off my radar. There were 2 years where I was so into it. Every time I'd put on makeup, I'd do like a little eyeshadow look as well. But recently I've just been reaching for bronzer, and my bronzer of choice this year is the NARS Laguna, which is one of the most populars. So before I put it on the rest of my face, I'm just going to use this as eyeshadow. I think using bronzer as eyeshadow kind of helps to tie in everything together. Moving on to eyebrows next, and I have a Benefit Duo, starting off with the Goof Proof Brow Pencil, which I use in the shade 4. So I start off with the spoolie, which I use to just brush through my brows. Usually I have my brows like trimmed and kept. I mean, they're a little bit overgrown at the moment, but nothing too crazy. So very easy to work with, but I always start off by brushing through them. And then I go in with the pencil. I try to do it as naturally as possible, trying to imitate hair strokes. That's what I try to achieve with this. Try not to be too heavy-handed. Like, I don't want my brows to look blocky or unnatural in any way. And if I do think that's happened, what I'll do is after I've penciled, I'll go in with the spoolie again, and I always think that helps to like break up any harshness. I'd say I'm quite happy with the way that that looks at the moment. I mean, a comparison moment always looks so odd when I do comparisons like this, but I am quite happy with it. I do think it looks quite natural, despite on camera it looking seriously dark. Proceeding to do the exact same on my other brow. Once I'm done with brows, what I usually will do is just go in again with the same brush that I used for my concealer, just to make sure it's looking a bit cleaner. I don't want them to look like they've been sort of glued on. I do want them to look quite natural, but still, if ever there's a little bit of powder that's maybe just gone slightly higher than my brows, or even just to like tap on top of them, I think sometimes it can get rid of them looking a bit too harsh and help them look a bit more natural. So that's usually like my final little step. And then of course it's brow gel. This has not changed. This is the 24-hour brow setter. It's so good. It's my favorite Benefit product. I really think that the 24-hour brow setter is the one I couldn't live without. The reason I think this brow setter is so good is because it's got two sides. So it's got longer bristles and then shorter bristles. Today I'm going simple and I'm just choosing the shorter bristles to apply the gel. This is the translucent gel, so it's just a clear gel to keep my brows in place. When it comes to bronzer, I actually have two products I want to share. I have a cream bronzer, and then I've also got a classic powder bronzer. So I really wanted to include the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun Kissed Glow Bronzer because I absolutely loved using this in the summer. I think the fact that it's a cream bronzer and a cream product just makes it perfect for the summer months. I'm gonna try and layer it today. Let's see how it goes. I just used my brush with this. I used it all summer with a brush. I was a little bit intimidated by it, to be completely honest with you. I have the shade 2 medium, which admittedly may be a little bit dark for me at the moment because all that summer tan is officially gone, but I'm just going to use this as like a base for my powder bronzer. But as I said, I use my brush to apply this, and in the summer I was using this alone because I wasn't really using like foundations or anything like that, so it worked really nicely like either just on the skin or on a more tinted moisturizer as quite a natural look. But I'm going to use it now as just like my bronzer base. To be honest, I said I thought this would be a little too dark, but actually I think it's blended really nicely. I wasn't too heavy-handed with this. I did really pick up the bare minimum on my brush, but it just gives quite a nice like healthy looking glow, which is what I love about this product, and the fact it still looks natural as well. And then on top of that, I'm going to go in quite generously with the NARS Laguna bronzer. This is the same bronzer that I used as eyeshadow, and I'm just going to apply this over the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. I think I'm just going to concentrate this one mostly on cheekbones though. As I said, I wouldn't usually use two bronzers, like a cream and a powder, but because they're different formulas, I thought it would be okay. But usually I wouldn't use this much bronzer on a day-to-day basis, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of my favorites, I wanted to show you both of them. And I actually think they do work quite well together. Like, let me know what you think. Do you usually go for multiple bronzers, or do you usually just stick to one, either powder or cream? Onto lashes. This is another non-changer for about 3 years. I want to say this has remained the same. So eyelash curlers and my trusted L'Oreal Lash Paradise waterproof mascara. My lash curlers are Tweezerman, which I adore. I think they are such a good price point, and they're probably the best I've seen in terms of drugstore curlers. They're just really good. If you've watched these videos of mine before, then you'll know my first step is to curl my eyelashes, and I do curl them for quite some time, and then I go in with my mascara. I do one eye at a time, and that's just what works for me. I actually have a whole video, a whole lash routine video where you can see it real time, so I literally didn't even speed that one up so that you can see exactly how long I take curling my eyelashes. Once I'm happy with the curling, I will go in with my mascara, trying to like wiggle as I go. Quick comparison with mascara, without. Then for my lower lashes, I will usually use whichever mascara I have on rotation, but currently it is the Maybelline Lash Sensational in Very Black. The reason I don't use waterproof mascara for my bottom lashes as well is because I'm not particularly fussed about them, to be honest with you. I essentially just put on a mascara to make them look a little bit like darker and just to add a bit more colour in them. I'm not necessarily for looking more length or more volume or anything like that. I'm pretty happy using whatever. On to blush next. I don't know why I don't do blush after bronzer, but in my day-to-day general routine, makeup routine, I always do bronzer after mascara. Is that really odd? Maybe, I'm not sure. But this favourite hasn't changed either. It is still the Hourglass Vanish Blush Sticks. This is the shade Sacred, which I featured in my favourites last year too. I just love it. It's a very pinky colour. It's a cream blush. I just really love this. It's great with foundation or just with tinted moisturiser, or even on the days where I've just got concealer on. I love using these. They are so good. They can definitely look quite intimidating, to be honest with you, but they blend so well and I just adore them. Moving on to highlight next. And admittedly, I'm not that into highlight anymore. I don't think I own like any single highlights at the moment. So I'd rather go for like a glowy base. So for example, as I added that glowy primer into my foundation, that's usually the kind of thing I go for. However, over the summer, I did wear quite a bit of highlight and it was all from my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Universe palette. These palettes are usually so limited edition that I really don't know if you can still get your hands on this. I have seen it on the Hourglass website, but I'm not sure whether you can get it anywhere else, to be honest with you, which is a real shame and quite annoying as well, to be honest with you, but hopefully you don't mind. So from this palette, I absolutely loved this slightly bronzier highlight. That's what I'm going to use today, but I might actually mix it with a slightly lighter finishing powder as well because I'm not tanned. It's not summer anymore, so my skin is not looking quite so tanned. But I just love this. It's quite a nice, like, subtle glow. I really think it gives just a really pretty, subtle, summery glow. I love these Hourglass palettes for the summer. They're just so beautiful. I'm just going to finish that off with a little bit on the nose as well. Lipstick next. My fave lipstick this year is going to MAC's Velvet Teddy. This feels like quite an old school MAC product. I just think it's a really pretty, like, pinky nude, but almost like a little bit vampy as well. I really like it. And because this year I have been loving glosses as well, I really wanted to give a mention to the Hourglass lip gloss stick. That's definitely not the name of it. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will leave a link to it in the description box down below. This is the shade Mist, which is easily my favorite one. It's just so nice. It's also like a little bit tingly on the lips. These are meant to be like quite luscious and like big lips kind of thing, and I just love it. I will either use this all over the lips as a standalone, or if I'm popping it over a lipstick like I am today, I'm going to mostly focus this in the center to sort of help give the lips a bit more dimension. Oh my gosh, this is such a good match over Velvet Teddy. The most perfect combo. For the final step, setting spray. This year I have Urban Decay's All Nighter setting spray. I also wanted to mention their Vitamin C setting spray, which I used in the summer and absolutely loved, but this is just their classic one, which is just as good. I really love this setting spray because it's such a fine mist. You never really feel like you've got splashes of water, which sometimes happens with setting sprays. This one's just such a fine mist. So this is my full face of 2022 makeup favorites. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. I love putting these together. I looked back on previous yearly makeup favorites and I have been doing these since 2017. So it's actually quite exciting to look back on previous years to see what stayed the same and what's changed, and just in general how like my makeup has changed over the years. I personally find it quite interesting to look through, but I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you want to see more makeup and beauty videos on my YouTube channel this year. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. Bye!